YouTubers. There's lots of drama and lots of competition and lots of nastiness and stuff. I wanted to just instead share with you my thoughts on a whole pile of these YouTube keepers. Lots of my favorite ones. Lots of them I don't really know. So just before getting into all this, I just want to let you know, if I talk about you or mention you, I don't mean to offend or bother anyone. I'm just sharing my opinions, and my opinions could be totally wrong, just like lots of the opinions that people will have towards me that can be negative. Lots of the time, these negative opinions come from people misunderstanding what's really going on, not really knowing the whole picture. We're going to start off with BrianBarczyk. So, here we go. So, BrianBarczyk posted this video, and I wanted to start by going through this and continuing on, having conversation, sharing thoughts, and I'd love for you to share with me who your favorite reptile keeper or YouTuber is and why. Yeah, let's keep it positive. Who's your favorite and why? Now let's dive into BrianBarczyk.
And that's feeding alligators with Crocky Mikey.
For 8 years of doing Snakebites TV, my first YouTube channel, people loved it. I mean, the reptile community embraced it. They loved seeing Chewy get bit, our crazy antics, and just kind of the fun that we had. And then, crazily enough, overnight, it went from everyone loving it to all kinds of people hating it. And I understand back in the Snakebites days where we did some crazy stuff, and I could see where people were kind of like, I don't know if this is the right decision, and we kind of lived and grew from that, right? That was why we kind of got way more educational, especially with the vlog channel, there's no doubt about that. But you have to remember, we have over 2,500 videos on the internet. So when people actually say there's proof that Brian was abusing animals, and they take a 10-second clip of something that was maybe 2 minutes long, you can kind of create any narrative you want, right? So basically, you can take my 2,500 videos and pick out little tiny clips that make things look really bad. Like, take for instance, one of the things that people said was that I wasn't keeping water in with Lucy at one point because I was cleaning her cage. But if you looked at the entire clip, earlier in the clip, there was actually a part of me taking the water out to go clean it, to go put it back in. But the clip that people showed was Lucy's cage without water in it. You know, obviously you can create any narrative you want, and that can definitely be hurtful to the hobby. And again, guys, I can't stress enough the fact that I've learned to live with it, right? It doesn't bother me, the internet hate. I mean, can it be hurtful for people to think someone like me that loves animals so much somehow abuses animals? Of course it can be hurtful, but the truth is that I realize I can't let that bother me because I know that I love these animals and I will do anything for them. All of the proceeds I make will go to educating people, right? Whether I put it into the Reptarium or I donate it to other causes, the fact is I'm not doing it for the money for myself. You guys know that I'm not driving around with Lamborghinis or Rolex watches. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but when I make money, all I do is put it back into animals and educating and trying to grow people. Remember, every person that comes into the Reptarium is getting educated about these animals, and it's pretty amazing. So I understand that titles and thumbnails can get under people's craw, and for some reason it bothers some people more than ever, but the truth is that's how we get people to actually watch the videos. Guys, I so apologize that I'm making a video that is kind of on the negative side, as well as a lot of talking. You know, I want to make videos that are just fun, showing animals, doing cool things, but every now and then, you know, I want to talk about this stuff because it concerns me. It concerns me what's happening, not just for me, but for all of the people that are involved. And I don't want a younger kid to say, I don't want to do that because look at how much hate Brian gets. Again, it doesn't bother me personally. I'm just thinking about the future of the hobby, the future of this platform, the future of everything. We have to be a team. I'm not the enemy. My colleagues with Reptiles aren't the enemy. We have to join together as a group because that's the only way that we're going to survive this. Hundreds and hundreds of people every single week that come through that we can educate about reptiles, get them turned into reptile lovers, because every group that comes by, there's always like one really big reptile lover and then one or two people that maybe like them a little bit and then one or two people that hate reptiles. By the time they leave, they all have an appreciation for reptiles, and that to me is what it's all about. And again, I hate to have these negative topics, but
Okay, so that's not negative, that's just how it is. He shared so much with us. Anyone that's been around from the beginning, before even me, I've only been around for like a decade. There wasn't much to see, and Brian was one of the first people that kind of got so many people into reptiles, or got the attention because, yeah, it drew people in with bites and silly stuff. What is it? What is it that people like? What is it that people want to see? So let's just see. When you go to most popular, you see what we get? Bites. Bites, bad things happening, snakes escaping, lots of time like penis stuff, like really weird things you'll see here. But like, this is the thing that people want to see. This is the thing that kind of draws people. There is nobody that grinds as hard as Brian right from the beginning. Sometimes it feels like a little much for us, I think, to just see him all the time, always going at it. But like, look at him go. Good for him. He's maintained this energy throughout a decade. And it's just like, I get awkward trying to talk about stuff. He always has something to say, and he keeps going and going and going. And lots of the stuff can be sensational. I've met Brian in person, and even in person, he's a really nice guy, down to earth. As he said, you know, he's not showing off a lavish life. Like, he's not driving around in Ferraris or Lamborghinis. He said he puts all the money back into the business. Even with my small collection and the hobbies that I have, I feel like there's not enough time in a day. So Brian's life must be going by so quickly because of all the stuff he's doing all the time. I'd really say there's no other keeper that puts as much effort into the social media and everything as Brian does. And that's why he's the king of all that. Let's just show you what snake bites was, like how it was.
Obvious that Chewy right here seems to get bit more than the rest of us. And I'm starting to wonder if it's the snakes or if Chewy actually has like a predisposition for getting bit by anything. So we're gonna go ahead and test this theory. Start with snakes.
Did you used to watch snake bites back in the day?
Ow, that's my pinky.
But basically, Chewy just gets bit all the time. And in the channel, same snake. Okay, let's see if there's more snakes.
Leopard gecko test. I'm afraid.
Bit again. So he's always getting bit. Yeah. Bit by a toad.
Mosquito.
Anyways, there's been like episodes where Chewy's just getting bit by snake after snake after snake. That's something that personally I never really liked. I never really liked seeing on snake bites all the snakes kind of being teased to get bites. I've always thought you should kind of try and avoid being bitten. You don't want to kind of go out of your way to try and irritate a snake to get attention and stuff. At the same time, getting bit can happen so often. And not every time you're getting bit, you're doing it for attention. But if you do catch it on camera, then why not share it? Like, you see the difference between going and getting animals to bite you for attention versus, you know, you were just filming what you're doing and it happens to happen. Then it's almost like you're silly not to share that. So there was like that part that lots of people didn't like or weren't cool with, but you have to think about it from the outside entertainment. That's what people find entertaining. It's hard because you want to go and give people something good. You want to teach them and stuff. But lots of the time, most people don't want to be taught. They don't want to be learned. They just have like simple minds that want to be entertained. And watching someone get bit by a snake is what's entertaining to them. And it's just a fact. So there were other times like here.
You can also make homemade incubators, and there's several ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the cheapest.
In this video, Brian shows us how to make an incubator for cheap. Lots of Brian's videos were just video after video of just things that maybe outside people find interesting, but most of the reptile people don't find as interesting. But every now and then, Brian will come out with something really useful, really helpful, and I've always appreciated that. This video was like, I think 10 years ago. And back then, there weren't as many things. July 14th, 2010, learning how to incubate, what temperatures to use, and all that stuff. Lots of people just guessed, and there was a lot of failing. There were a lot of things that went wrong, especially back then, and it wasn't as popular. So we have to appreciate Brian for kind of giving that to us. Now we're gonna go into my personal favorite YouTuber, and that's Kevin McCarley. Kevin McCurley, I don't know if I say it properly. The owner of Nerd. Out of all the reptile people, he's the one that I like the most. Like, I just feel that he really understands the way animals think. And his personality type is a lot more different than Brian's. He's kind of, and once again, these are my opinions, I'm just guessing, but he kind of seems more like he was socially awkward and stuff. Doesn't really care to be around people that much. Doesn't want to be there on the camera all the time, but really knows the animals, spends the time with them, understands them. If there was anyone that I wanted to take an animal to that I was afraid of handling or can't deal with, he would be the one that I would want to take it to. We're going to look at a video that really took off for a while from a keeper. You probably saw it if you're in the reptile community, and a lot of people got angry with this. I see what Kevin thinks about it, and we're going to watch parts of it and his commentary, just to kind of give you more perspective from somebody that knows more than most of us do. Instead of just seeing this, getting mad, jumping to conclusions and thinking things, just watch and then we'll talk about it.
I can tell you right now, whatever is that a retake? Oh my God, it's on point. Oh, you're not even reading your snake. Here it comes.
Oh, okay. See the hand?
No. Okay, that's so stupid.
Oh, okay. See the hand?
What's happening?
Hands are what's for dinner. So we have a reticulated python. Okay, so as soon as she touched the lid, the snake came up. It knew it wanted to eat. Its behavior was, I need to eat. And that's an owner who's not reading the snake very well. Or she wasn't reading at all. When you go over to the cage and the snake's awake and the snake is looking, periscoping, looking at all sorts of different movements, it's telling you, hey, this is what you usually do when you feed me, so I want to eat. There's no aggression in there. That's strictly, I'm in my feed mode. Then she opens the top, and the snake is coming at her, which it's like, okay, feed me something defrosted, slight little wobble. I mean, her face and her neck wasn't close enough, but the first thing she did was put her arm out there, and it grabbed it. So that is like 101. It's the do not do this. Right now she's coiled up. So the animal's wrapped around her right hand, and she's taking it like a champ, I will tell you that.
Should I continue filming?
Yeah.
Kind of figured.
It's not like you're a human, I want to eat you. It's like, I've mistaken you as food. She made a mistake, the snake made a mistake. I would think that she'd be a little bit more on point, but I don't know what her relationship or her experiences with the snake. In the back, I just saw it when she just leaned down. Rodent style bins, it's really a good idea to not have those in the same space. If I do keep rodents in the same space where I keep snakes, what you're gonna do is the snakes are gonna constantly motor patrol their cage looking for food or unrest as the animal looks for more feeding opportunities.
Can we see if we can get her off of my arm?
Good composure, girl power right here. So she's doing excellent. She's taking a not fun situation and she's making the best of it. But you know, it's got her by the wrist. She's bleeding some, and this guy clearly does not know what he's doing. Like trying to pull the snake off, you're gonna have to endure these. You know, the teeth are recurved, so they're gonna pull back. So they're gonna basically latch into your flesh. Usually we're just getting, I think your food, I made a mistake. There's good and bad in this video. So she didn't read her animal really well, but her composure and how she managed this and what she actually tolerated, this is, I would pretty much anticipate that she really loves animals, but she could use some updates on her management. So we took a situation here, could have been worse, could have bit something, wrapped more. She was lucky she did have somebody. Would she have been able to manage it just by herself? I'd actually probably say yes. I think she would, she didn't lose it. that's the thing, keeping your composure. I'm so impressed with her.
What do you think happened when the camera went off? What do you think they did?
I think she probably unwrapped it, and then we're looking at the wound. I don't think the wounds are bad. You just wrap it up and you put pressure on. You know, you held it together, and I've seen other people not hold it together. People too, at the sight of blood. I've witnessed big, strong men get bit, and suddenly I don't know what happened to them. They see blood and they lose it. They panic. They start doing things that don't make sense, and they certainly take a bad situation and make it a lot worse. Remember one thing, I'm a hobbyist first, and I'm a hobbyist that I want people to be able to keep these wonderful animals and sharing the love of these animals, because I love the animals in nature. I want these animals to exist in nature, and when we keep them in captivity, certainly captive bred animals that are not being pulled out of the wild, fish line one. These make people think about these animals in the wild ecosystems, and I think you should then educate other people about how wonderful they are, because you can get somebody who has no value or no consideration of these animals to maybe like these animals, maybe even keep them, or at the very least want to conserve a rainforest, want to conserve a coral reef, conserve the forest down the street. And I really, really resent the people in the reptile industry when they're looked at by other animal rights people or people that are pro-environment. They actually look at us and they have this narrative that we aren't absolute animal lovers. I'm the biggest animal lover you're ever going to see, and I don't care if it's a jumping spider, if it's an ant. I love it right up to elephants and whales, and they're very important to me in every single day of my life, because these animals are all vanishing. And if you can show people in a city or an apartment in a neighborhood or anything, you show them these animals and you tell them about them, you're making them think. And animal rights will try to demonize us, make us look terrible, try to say this is why you shouldn't be allowed to have these things. But in the same time, we're not looking at horses and dogs and motorboats and all these other things, and how many people are killed on quads and motorcycles and cars, and look at all the damage that cars do. We're killing so much wildlife, it's unbelievable. But they'll use something like this, and if we're not internalizing this and condemning her, and it's very simplistic minded to sit here and actually say she was bad or she did bad things. I don't want to do that. There's no point.
This lady made a few mistakes with her animal. You can see that there's rats in the same room that can have the snake going, as Kevin mentioned. One of the big things is that she posted this video and a whole pile of reptile people came after her, and they'll kind of say like, this is the reason that you shouldn't have reptiles. But what you have to understand is when you see things like this, some people are just doing it for entertainment. You have to understand, if you get something like this on video, of course you're going to share it. Like, it's almost stupid not to. And Kevin here has a wonderful channel, but his most popular video is someone getting bit. And it's important to see that part too, because then before you get one of these animals, this is something that could happen. This is why it happened. So seeing people kind of make these mistakes and stuff, there's a difference between the type of biting that kind of happened on snake bites, where snakes are being instigated to bite. Like, we're not rubbing ourselves with a rat and trying to get bit, but sometimes you catch something and then you share it. When we look here and we put in snake bite, let's see, 1, 2, where's Brian? Brian is number 2. That's Brian Animal Bites. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's the 6th one. And this video got 7 million views. And this is what kind of made Kevin's channel take off. And let's take a look at this.
I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. I do this every day. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. I do this every day.
It's sad that this is what grows a channel probably more than anything. When you catch something like this, when you catch a moment like that and you're able to share that, that's what gets the views. It got 7 million views. Now, if I asked Kevin if this is why he wants his channel to grow, if that's what he wants to be famous for, as the guy that has snakes that bite people? Absolutely not. Like he said, he loves the animals, he cares for them all the time, and he's made videos for a long time that are not like this, and they're actually the ones that are better videos. Like, to me, one of my favorite videos is watching the ones like this, where he is taking babies and showing you how you can condition them and teach them to be more tame.
And just any baby Burmese python or retic, I have to prove myself as not being some terror. But both these animals, these are basically two very unsocialized animals that need to be worked with. So I can raise a Burmese python to be wonderfully tractable. I can also raise a reticulated python to be wonderfully tractable. Would I ever say that a Burmese python could be more tractable than that in a retic? Absolutely not. There is no retic that could be any friendlier than a Burm, and there's no Burm that could be any friendlier than a retic. It comes down to individuals, and people need to understand that. These animals are unique unto themselves, and there's a lot going into what they've encountered in their lives and all that stuff.
It doesn't matter if it's a huge snake, it doesn't matter if it's a snake that people give a bad rep. If you put in that time and you train them and you see them and learn how they react and everything, you can make any one of those snakes just as nice. But also there's individuality. So it's not just species, it's individuals. There are some snakes that are more curious. There's some snakes that are more scared. There's all sorts of different snakes with different personalities, even within each species. So it's not like just, oh, ball pythons, they're all nice. Oh, boas, they're all scary. It's individuals. If you put the time into any animal, especially from the time it's born, you're going to see the difference in personality and the way that they behave and react with you. So watching Kevin, and especially his older videos where he talks about snake personality and everything, those are some of my favorite videos, and I appreciate that. So another thing that I appreciate about Kevin is he's a funny guy. He does some silly stuff, and he takes care of some animals that most people would probably get rid of, or feed when they're born because they're not healthy looking or something. But he has this snake called Snarfles, and Snarfles is just ridiculous, and it just shows Kevin's like weird, quirky side, and everybody loves it.
Snarfles, so many people love you, they want to see you on a t-shirt or a coffee mug. What do you think about that?
I think that is wonderful. Everyone should admire me. I am so brilliant and amazing. Look at me. Let me use that phone. Give me some hands and I will dial numbers. Where are my women? It is Snarfles time. I want to see the coffee mug, but you're going to have to hold it for me, so I can drink. Say hello to Snarfles. Snarfles is most wonderful. For all who do not like me, I must break you. I'm back. Back for more. Look at me. I am outrageously handsome. Say goodbye.
Don't you love Snarfles? How can you not? So I discovered Nerd when I saw the first coral glow. So once again, back in the day, there weren't many genes. Spiders were like fancy, and bumblebees were like top of the line. Snakes or albinos, all these single genes. And seeing Nerd produce the first like coral glow, which kind of looked like these. Now these are all like combos. He doesn't have any plain ones anymore, but I never forget seeing the first one that was posted on something. It might have been on the Reptile Report. I don't know really where, but I saw the first coral glow and it was just like, oh my goodness. And just over the years, one thing after another, Kevin has produced some of the most amazing, beautiful animals. And to be able to do this, he's the meticulousness of like just keeping track of everything and understanding everything and testing things and holding back, and it's so much work. So he's another person that always has his hands full, and to me, I feel like he's always doing it kind of in the back end. You don't get to see a lot of Kevin, and when you do, it's special. It's just like watch him, listen to him, because he has information that when he goes, it just kind of goes with him. There's no, yeah, I guess you can go and become a herpetologist or something, go to school or whatever, but the things that lots of these breeders have learned over the years is not something that you can get from school. So it's something that you have to really kind of practice and learn through doing, or learn from someone like Kevin. So this is what I like so much about Kevin, just learning from him and seeing the way that he interacts with animals. Now we're going to look at KampKenan, and another great guy, another wonderful dude that takes amazing care of animals, gives them tons of space, and now we're going to see him with a croc monitor.
She's really close to me. This is a whole new moment we're having. I'm really trying to trust this lizard here right now. I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit nerve-wracking.
Look at this. She's actually going to eat the innards out. Look at this. She's actually eviscerating this animal. This is incredible.
How about this shot, guys? You got what's considered a herbivorous animal and a carnivore eating the same foods.
Can you believe how brave this tortoise is?
Let's see what she does. This is a whole new moment we're having. And believe it or not, she could bite right through my sweatpants without any issue. All right. So her tail's not curled up. Now, I guarantee you, if I were able, yeah, there's a little curling, so she knows she's coming behind me. I'm really trying to trust this lizard here right now. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm maintaining some kind of calm here. I'm just letting her walk around. I'm inside her environment. I put that camera over her head, so she was not happy about that. But let's just continue to let her walk around. Whew, this is huge, guys. This is awesome.
The idea with this video was that basically I want to show you that if you want to get anywhere with animals, reptiles, and like pushing it to the next level, you are going to take some risks. You are going to risk yourself to kind of get yourself to the next level of like friendship or just interaction with these animals. If you're not willing to push those limits, then your relationship isn't going to go as far as if you actually try different things. So by going in there with his croc monitor and taking that risk, like he said, it could have bit his leg or it could have attacked him, but he trusted it. And in these moments, something really good can happen. Special things happen where you get to that next level where they do trust you. But then at the same time, just like these special moments can happen, other moments can happen where you get attacked. If it's not planned and it just happened, I think it's fine to kind of share that with people, because not everyone should have a croc monitor. Not everyone should have a reticulated python. Does that mean we shouldn't be allowed to have them? No, but we should, like, I don't think children should have reticulated pythons. Really, no one should have any animal unless they're going to be responsible and able to give it what it needs and able to put that time in to have a good relationship with it. So many channels have grown really quickly with entertainment and snake bites and animal feeding and stuff kind of more aggressive and more kind of out there. It's so much harder to grow a channel without doing that stuff. Almost every day I spend an hour around reptiles, cleaning and doing stuff. So during that time, good things happen and bad things happen. I like sharing both those things with you. And if something shocking happens, if I get hurt, just like when they were rolling that camera, they're like, should I stop filming it? They're like, no, why would you stop filming it? That's good content. Like, it's an opportunity to capture something that you wouldn't have captured or you wouldn't have seen. So I do think that that has a place, and that people shouldn't be being put down for that. That shouldn't be hidden from people. It's all part of keeping reptiles. And if you think that you can keep monitors and reticulated pythons and Burmese pythons. Ball pythons and boas bite too, but it's just that these bigger animals, when they bite, it could be a lot more dangerous. So if you think that these animals are going to be like teddy bears and stuff, you shouldn't be thinking that. It's very naive to think that. You have to understand and always kind of be prepared for what could happen. ClintsReptiles is a perfect example of someone that just, how could you not like him? There's nothing bad you can say about him. I find what he does absolutely, like, it would be grueling. Like, I would not be able to do this. He's the start of, like, what's the best pet? Is this the best pet? And, like, goes through every animal and says, could this be the best pet? It's like, is this the best pet? Clint's the one that kind of like made that all popular. Let's just watch him for a bit.
And they're going to need those on a regular basis. So you're going to have a constant supply of insect feeders and fresh greens, as well as nutritional supplements for them. The other thing is they need the most expensive lighting. They need UVB lighting, and that means you're going to need to buy a UV bulb at least every 6 months to a year. If these are things that aren't going to deter you, this is one of the best pet reptiles you could possibly get. This is a leopard gecko, and for a lot of you, the leopard gecko could be the ultimate pet reptile. They are, for starters, adorable. Look at them. While some of these reptiles might scare some of your friends, maybe even you, nobody's going to be afraid of your leopard gecko. They're just adorable. Second off, they're very, very handleable. They're not going to jump.
So he's just so positive, and when you watch him, it puts a smile on your face. I was going to make an episode once where I dress up and be like, oh, look at this. It's so stinking cute. But it's just like, I didn't want to feel like I'd be making fun of him or anything, because I think he's awesome. He's another one that's really awesome, really loves the animals, loves teaching people. I think everyone would have loved him to be their science teacher. And just, yeah, great, good guy. Okay, let's take a look at WickensWickedReptiles. I hope his name's Adam. Adam Wickens, yes. Okay, so I met Adam about 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago. Maybe less, maybe a year ago. 2019? I think it was 2019. WickensWickedReptiles is probably one of the fastest growing reptile channels I've ever seen. And why is this happening? Why is he so successful? Well, let's look at the videos that he makes. He makes all these list videos, all these care guides. You know, lots of people don't want to make care guides. They want to make videos about themselves. But what Adam does is he is providing useful information. He's doing a combination of the care guides, the top 5 lists, the 5 most dangerous, the 5 most cute, the 5 most expensive. He goes on all these lists, and people seem to really like that. So he's kind of just giving more people from the outside information, and this is great because we're getting more people then into the reptile community. Just watching him take off is pretty cool. We met over here at the expo in 2019. Let's show you that.
I met a really cool guy, Matt from Beauty Boas. Him and I talked about the way that he breeds boas, which is just kind of amazing to me. Here, this is what I'm talking about.
My biggest battle is this. Do I want to produce the most expensive snakes, or do I want to produce the most beautiful ones? And to me, I'll sell this one and I'll keep that one because this one's prettier.
Well, you are Beauty Boas, not...
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And then I have lots of them that are just pets that I haven't bred because I haven't found one pretty enough to breed with it.
So like Matt was saying, he's taking the quality, not the quantity. Where you see a lot of these breeders on YouTube, not to name any names, you know exactly who I'm talking about, who pump out, or used to anyway, back in the days, pump out as many animals as possible to make the biggest profit. And this guy was not about that at all. I was really impressed with the way that Matt executed and thought about breeding boa constrictors. And if I ever do get a boa constrictor, which I'm trying not to buy any more animals, don't buy any more animals, it will be from this guy. Because his passion seems so genuine. And you meet a lot of really cool people at these expos that you probably would never have a chance to meet otherwise, and they're from all around. So if you have the option, go to one.
Thank you, Adam, for that. He still didn't buy a boa off me, so he's a terrible liar, and none of you should watch him anymore. Adam has done a lot of things right. I've done a lot of things wrong when it comes to YouTube. When it comes to YouTube, if you want to be successful, you have to stay on point. And as you can see, Adam's videos, one after the other, like they're all about reptiles. They're all the same thing. The biggest thing that has killed my YouTube channel is that I post family videos, I post hair videos, so that's why I'm going through a whole overhaul. And if you're trying to grow a channel and wondering why it's not growing, you can't be making videos for different niches. If there's one thing that I've learned the hard way, is don't do it your way. You have to do what YouTube wants you to do. So if you're going to be a reptile channel, all your videos should be about reptiles. You shouldn't post videos about anything else. And Adam has done this beautifully, and you can see his success from it. Now let's move on to Dave. Now, when you look at Dave, I think, should be a lot bigger than he is. He's been around forever. He's made like videos about reptiles since before there even was like the YouTube videos and whatever. He made a whole series called Herpers. I was like, herper, rattle on, everyone. And I don't know, it's just he's another one that he goes on journeys and trips, and he has a very interesting series kind of in here. His little In the Wild, Are We Keeping Our Reptiles Correctly? I think you should check out this because it's really interesting. He looks at the animals in their natural environments and tells you what they're like. So he's interesting. When I first saw him at a show, I couldn't believe how tall he was. I couldn't believe how tall this guy is. He's super tall. And in person, he wasn't that nice. But, you know, maybe I just got him on a bad day, so I don't like to judge people at all. But it was just like, we talked a little bit online, and he's like, yeah, I'll come by, I'll shoot your booth and whatever. And he didn't really even stop and say hi at all. So I don't know, maybe he just had a busy day and didn't have enough time, but he just seemed a little bit prima donna-y, which I found really shocking because you watch him and he just seems like this really happy, nice guy. So out of all the people that I've like seen in the videos and met in person, they've all been really nice. And with Dave, he was just kind of in his own world doing his own thing. So I don't know, maybe he was just busy planning a video or something, but that's just what I got from him. Now we got TylerNolan. TylerNolan is the guy that lost his finger because he was bit by a cobra. So we check out his most popular video, King Cobra Bite, caught on camera. Yes. So you see, if you catch something like this, even if it costs you your finger, you're going to share it. 2.8 million views. Like, so these are the things that can basically be the foundation that a channel is built on. Something like this can mean all your other videos get viewed. So it's just like, as a creator, to not share that, that's kind of the dumb thing. And then you do share it, and then everyone kind of looks at you like you're dumb. But it's just like, if I told you, you have the opportunity to get 100% raise if you tell us your most embarrassing story. Tell the whole company your most embarrassing story. Sure, why not? Tell that embarrassing story, take the embarrassment, show that you made a mistake, and now get 100 times more. And that doesn't mean every time someone gets bit by an animal, they're going to blow up. But I think lots of people see TylerNolan and they think, oh, that's the guy that got bit by a cobra. That's the guy, he's like that tattoo artist that, like, he's really cool and edgy and stuff. And it's just like, I look at TylerNolan and he reminds me kind of the kids at school that probably too cool to hang out with. Okay, so now we have to take a look at TaylorNolan because she's another one that was here a long time ago, and I think that she's gotten so much more hate than she's ever needed. There's so many people that see her and are jealous of her. She's a beautiful girl. She's a smart girl. She was so ahead of her time. She was there making videos, and if you just watch her.
Now for the moment of truth. Ah, oh my god, you're beautiful!
Next up we have a second ball python. His name is Louie, and he is a firefly clown ball python. Now see, at the time he was my most expensive snake, so I named him after a Louis Vuitton bag. As a lot of us know, Louis Vuitton actually makes python bags, which absolutely sucks. So I decided to make the joke that I have a living Louis Vuitton purse, and he's so much cooler. I love his little angry eyebrow. I don't know if you guys can see, but he has a little line above his eye. Oh wait, I was showing you the wrong eye. Let me see your anger eyebrow. There it is.
So she's like a kid that blew up on YouTube. If you actually watch her videos, and it's funny because I'd always kind of like in the back of my head, look at me, I have a fancy snake and it's named Louis Vuitton. Like, it's so easy to make her a target. It's so easy to make fun of her. It's so easy to kind of be jealous of her, because how many of us would like to have 1 million people watching us, and here's this kid that did it. And she is not stupid. She's not a bimbo. She's a very smart girl that is so talented and could have probably like become so much more and done so much better if she had more support, if she had better people maybe around her. And I'm talking nonsense. I don't know anything really about her, but I know that the way that the reptile community is, there's a lot of nasty people. And when you do well, when anyone does well, you have a choice. You know, you can choose to be happy for them and try to learn from them. And that's the smarter thing to do. Look at these people. Why are they successful? What are they doing? How can I do it too? But it's a lot easier to find a reason to not like them. Oh, look at her. She's so fake. That's not even her real hair. Blah, 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 blah. And get jealous and say mean things. It's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to be mean. It's so much easier to not see the bigger picture. Our community is not that big. It's a smaller community. If you think about makeup channels and hair channels, there's so many hairdressers, there's so many makeup artists, there's so many tech channels, there's so many different things. With reptiles, there's not much more than like 5 channels with over 1 million subscribers, and she did it. TaylorNolan had a profound effect on me because I saw this kid and I'm just like, if this child can be successful, people are making fun of her, laughing at her or whatever, but look at her, she's successful. She made something of herself. And it's just like, if she can do that as a kid, look at the editing, the music, the words, everything in her videos gets better. And back then, the technology wasn't as great as it is now. The editing wasn't as easy as it is now. So when you look at her and you're trying to succeed, like, you really have no excuse to fail. Just look at what she did and learn from that. Learn from these people, because there's different things about all these different people that we can learn from, and we get so much more if we're learning from each other, if we're working together, if we're helping each other. And it's sad that we don't see her anymore. Let's look at SnakeDiscovery.
Oh my gosh, we are at 100,000 subscribers, which I didn't even think would be possible this soon, let alone at all. We started doing YouTube videos for people who attend my programs to be able to learn more afterwards if they wanted. And then it just exploded into something like I couldn't have imagined or guessed. So I want to thank all of you for all of your support over this last year and a half. We wouldn't have been able to do it without you. Thank you to those who have subscribed to the channel, and thank you to those who aren't subscribed but still watch our videos. We appreciate all of the support that you've given us. In order to celebrate, we'll be doing an updated reptile room tour. Today we'll be doing a tour of this room because most of our reptiles are in here.
SnakeDiscovery. Now we're going to enter something else. What I think is the most interesting about SnakeDiscovery is you look at it and yes, lots of education. They're giving, they're helping. She's sweet, likable. When it comes to SnakeDiscovery, there was just something about it that I wondered. I just wondered, because she wondered it too. Why did she just explode? Why'd SnakeDiscovery grow so much? I've spent the past 2 years making tons of videos and learning YouTube, understanding kind of how YouTube works and the power of SEO, which is search engine optimization. So let's take a look at this. We're going to go to Google Trends, and this is a great way to try to find topics for YouTube videos. So I'm going to share with you some more secret information if you stuck along. I want you to see something. We're going to put in snake. Okay, we're going to compare it to Discovery, and we're going to add a few more. We're going to add boas. We're going to add beauty, and we're going to add cake. I'm doing my videos. Just go and just let me be, because I'm not stopping till I'm done.
Why?
Because I'm doing it. I planned all day for this. I waited for you guys to go to sleep so that I could just do it in peace, not have noise, not have all sorts of stuff going on. I'm almost done. I'm going through it. Okay, so what we're going to look at here that's very interesting in Google Trends, okay? I like names that are catchy. WickensWickedReptiles is a great example. Beauty Boas. I want a name that people remember. So originally I was Beauty Boas, and I still will kind of always be Beauty Boas. But when I looked at SnakeDiscovery and I learned about search terms, the amount of power of having strong search terms or keywords in the title of your channel is amazing. And it, in a way, it kind of sucks too, because you might have a great idea for a channel name like Beauty Boas, but if the SEO isn't strong, you're going to be hurting yourself. Just think about Molly Maid. I don't know if you guys know Molly Maid. In Canada, if you think about a maid service, you think of Molly Maid, and back in the day they would have these electric blue cars with neon pink writing that said Molly Maid. And there it is. Maid is in the title. It's simple. By having a strong search word, keyword in your title, you're automatically going to make your channel just have a bit more of a boost. So having reptiles in your title, exotics, boas, right? Whatever it is. So now when I look at these search terms, do you see what happens? So Discovery is okay. But look, Discovery is doing better than boas. And if you look at snake, snake is pretty strong too. Now, when you look at beauty, beauty is there too. But when people are searching beauty, they're not looking for snakes. And when they're searching Discovery, they might not be looking for snakes either. But now look at cake. So this is why I named my channel now Snake Cake Exotics, kind of as a joke, because people aren't going to get it or understand. But if you watch this video, then you'll know the power of strong search words. So I got snake now in my title too, and cake and exotics. So I got 3 search terms. And you see boas, it's barely there. It's at the bottom. So this is the power of learning and understanding how to be able to optimize for search. In a sea with millions, maybe billions of hours of content being uploaded every day to YouTube, any little thing you can get that helps you, you got to do. Now let's look at Jay from Prehistoric Pets.
Okay, guys, it's the big New Year's Day, and we just... this is a grumpy snake. This is reality TV, baby. The real mean one's the other one. I purposely got in my cage with all my big mean ones. I don't know if I'll use this video, but anyway, I like big snakes. Not necessarily my three meanest ones I own that are in this cage. But I want to know what your favorite snake is. Take a picture or a video and upload it right underneath this in the comments. What did you think about that? I think I'm going to live through it. What do you think? So these are all first generations. This shows you how much difference they are. Oh, I got to be careful. Ow! You sucker, you actually got me. I didn't think she'd actually get me. Anyway, so there's what they're like in the wild, just to let you guys know. Anyway, I don't want to get poked in the face. This is not fun, but it is definitely funny to me because I thought I could pull it off.
So Jay's just crazy, and what Jay has is the voice. Like, he speaks loud. He's almost screaming in every video, so he's very clear. He's very fun. He's just the kind of guy you wish was your uncle. His channel is just lots of bites, lots of little attacks, and look, he takes a bite from a snake that could easily kill him. But it won't, and he knows that. Like, he's worked with these animals, and it's just like he's just fearless. I think that's also a Anery Ultra or something else, like something like that. It'd be funny if it's an Anery Ultra, because then we have Kevin's people being bit by their Anery Ultra, him by his, and I have a nice video coming up where I get bit in the face by an Anery Ultra. He's pumping out lots of the new stuff, lots of the genes. I don't know how he produces so many animals and sells them all. That blows my mind, because he's just cutting eggs all the time. And if you want to see something just amazing, check out these panda pieds.
Okay, so this is literally a clutch I've been waiting for.
This is his channel, though. He's always cutting open eggs, and he's cutting open eggs and getting bites and stuff. Very interesting stuff. But after watching him, I have dreams of like eggs hatching and stuff. Like, I have really weird dreams about snakes after watching his videos.
I gotta see if I can get him out a little bit more. Look at this, you guys. So that is really, really, really what we're looking for. It's not as black as I was hoping because it's got platinum, but you know what? We're not done. We still got...
So that's just the kind of stuff you see from him. It's pretty crazy too. Okay, now we're coming to Garrett. And Garrett's a special one. Out of all of them, the one I've probably talked to the most, but never met. If you know what super dwarf reticulated pythons are, you know Garrett. I'd say that watching him and TaylorNolan are the ones that kind of inspired me the most. And the video that did it for me with him, that I think when I first started watching him, it was this.
In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about one of my most frequently asked questions, which is how big do super dwarf and dwarf reticulated pythons get? Okay, so if you've been looking and researching into getting a dwarf or a super dwarf, now this is the very first, most basic, but critical thing to understand, and already we have confusion because of labeling. All right, dwarf and super dwarf. The fact that somebody named them super dwarfs kind of makes it sound like it's a homozygous, co-dominant or incomplete dominant trait, like a super tiger. Breeding two tigers together gives you super tigers. A lot of times people think that if you breed two dwarfs together or two super dwarfs of certain percentages, you can get, you know, even smaller snakes, and that's not true. This is not the way that it works. Super dwarf is a marketing term, nothing more. Dwarf, same thing. So point number one.
Anyways, Garrett goes and he teaches you so much about super dwarfs. When you look at his videos, it's these old videos that are the most popular. He's still growing. A lot of us really like the older videos because the older videos, he'd do something called Free Tip Friday, and every Friday he'd be teaching you something. And if you go to his playlist and you find Free Tip Friday, look, 42 videos. He also has some Talk Him Up where he kind of interviews people, and the Free Tip Fridays are amazing. Garrett is super smart, super like good at business. He used to work for Jay also at Prehistoric Pets, which we just saw. So he's been around animals from the time he was little, loves reptiles, and decided to really focus on super dwarf reticulated pythons, which is a great animal to get into because lots of people want to get a retric that's not as big as a mainland. And he's a great salesman. He's great at, like, you watch him in his videos and he tells you, like, so what you got to really look for when you are trying to buy a super dwarf or whatever is make sure you, like, you know where it's coming from, that you have pure localities, or like he kind of like subliminal messages you, like, you should really be looking for this. And he doesn't tell you that he's the only one that has it, but it's just like that's what he's doing. He's like, well, like, you should look for someone that has the only pure Karampas, because then you're having something that's really nice and small. And it's true. Like, he does like the localities, and he has most of the pure localities. That he has the greatest super dwarf collection in the world. That's probably a fact. But when it comes to super dwarfs with me, I never really kind of looked at it like locales. I've never really cared so much about that, and that's a whole part of the industry, right? I just want a pretty retic that stays small. But you do have to watch out where it came from, because people are out there trying to take advantage of the situation. People will pay for super dwarf reticulated pythons, and regular baby reticulated pythons look the same as super dwarf reticulated pythons. There's people out there that are selling regular reticulated pythons and pretending that they're super dwarfs. So even super dwarfs, there's different localities, there's different sizes, and sometimes some that should stay smaller end up getting a bit bigger because they've been mixed with mainland blood, and that's just what you have to do to get the genes smaller. But Garrett talks about all sorts of things when it comes to super dwarfs. So basically watching Garrett and learning from him is what inspired me to make a channel that's mostly focused around boas. Sure, I show my super dwarfs too. I only have 6 of them, and I show you some other animals, but one of my goals is to kind of have a channel the way that Garrett's channel is for super dwarfs. I want to be that guy for boas. I want to be the person you come to learn more about boas. That leads us into Brian's boas. So when you look at Brian, what he's done something pretty amazing too, and you can see how he's changed. He had these black and white titles, and now he's made them more bold and red. And as you see that he's kind of done better, you'll see other people kind of copying those labels, and that's all we can do. We're trying to make our YouTube channels grow, so we're looking at someone else, and we'll look at these and be like, okay, what's the most popular video? Because if you look at what other people are making and you say, oh, can I make one about your first pet boa? I'm sure I could. What blows my mind with Brian is look at like this.
Hi guys, Brian from BrianBoas here. Are you planning on getting a boa constrictor but have absolutely no previous boa keeping experience? Well, today I'm going to go over at a high level all of the considerations you should make before getting your first boa. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the place for all things related to boa constrictors. So if you want to learn all about keeping and breeding these beautiful animals in captivity, please be sure to subscribe to the BrianBoas YouTube channel right now.
Brian doesn't really add music. He doesn't add anything really exciting. All he does is talk. And all his videos, he talks. Like here he's talking for 32 minutes. Okay, when I talk, I can't talk that much. This guy is amazing for how he can just go. I don't know if he has a script in front of him or he's memorized it or what's going on in Brian's head, but he can just keep talking. I have terrible like ADD and my brain goes here and there and I'm going everywhere. Also, when I make videos, I'm trying to make it more exciting. I'm trying to like add videos, do all this stuff. And then you see Brian and Brian's just there talking and teaching you stuff. And there's people that really love this. And that's great. For me, I can't pay attention that long. I don't find it that interesting. And but that's just me. There's all sorts of different people, and obviously he's doing well. You know, almost 6,000 subscribers, and his channel, I've seen it just grow and surpass mine. It's interesting to see because you look at why people are succeeding. You see how uniform it is. You see how it all is part of something. And when you look at my channel, start doing this more. Start being more organized, because when you look at my channel, it's just a big mess. Like there's just it's not really uniform. And I've been playing with shorts because you got to use shorts to grow. Right now, if you're not making shorts, you're missing out on a huge growth opportunity. And shorts is a short form of video. Now this is another one of my favorite keepers. You don't see a lot of them.
Lights, camera, action. Alright. I thought I'd just shoot a little video. I know the masses want to see me at work, so I figured I'd show you how I'm ready or how I ready myself and the tools that I use. Number one, snake hook. The only thing I ever use a snake hook for is for pulling open drawers, because it hurts snakes, especially big ones, to pull on with a snake hook to break ribs. Number two, hemostats, the longest ones you can get, because when you're juggling rats, you don't want the snake to grab you on the arm instead of grabbing the rat. Number three, your phone, because if that's your preferred method of communication and you tell people you answer the cotton picking phone from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., you better have the cotton picking phone with you, which I always do. So call me if you need to during the week.
So Jeff Rohn is to me like the #1 boa guy. If there's anyone that knows the most about boas, he's one of them, definitely. He's been around forever. He's a fun, quirky guy, and he's helped me identify a few things. You can see how old this video is. He hasn't like really kept up and made a pile of videos, but he's been part of a lot of books or articles that are written about boas, and he's done things like just the amount of time that he's just sat watching snakes and watching animals do things, watching his boas give birth, watching how they do everything. He's truly watched and sat there and like just spent hours watching his animals, documenting it, telling us about it, sharing things that he noticed through putting that time in. He's the boa king. Or at least to me he is. I really like him, and his method of breeding boas is the method that I use to this day. It involves not dropping the temperature, letting the natural temperature drop with the environments around you. So for instance, I'm in Canada. In my reptile room, I don't lower the heat. I don't do a cooling period, but the room automatically does get a bit cooler because of the season changing and the biometric pressure or something like that changes. It still allows them to breed, and using his method has helped me a lot, and I've tweaked it and stuff and done some things myself too. Jason.
So that's kind of what got me started, is just this natural fascination with any type of living animal that was out there, whether it be a reptile, a mammal, the squirrel, whatever it was. I was always obsessed with animals. And then once I found reptiles, just something about this animal, I can't explain to you what it is, and I'm sure you guys can relate to the same type of passion, but I can't explain to you what it is about an animal like this, a snake, that gets me kind of so excited. And so that's kind of what sparked it. And I begged my parents for a snake. My parents, as we were younger, were divorced, and my father, I would go over his house. In his house, in the backyard, there was kind of like this cut through that went to this big open field.
Jason, as you can tell, he loves reptiles too, and I feel like he's kind of like, I could see him kind of almost being like my cousin or something. I don't know if he feels the same way about me, because I feel like Jason really, like, he loves the animals. He likes boas a lot. Boas are his thing. Boas are my thing too. Whenever somebody's looking for a boa in the States, I tell them, go see Jason. Jason has it, or Jason will hook you up with a good boa, because it's just like, I really like him and the way he does stuff, but I just feel like he's more of a, he reminds me almost of like one of those like Italian gangsters or something. Like, hey, or like, no, just like one of those like older Italian guys, like, hey, what's the matter with you, or something. Like, he likes his snakes, and people frustrate him. He's not as much of a people person. And once again, I don't really know him. We've chatted a little bit here and there, but I just get the vibe that he likes the reptiles. People, it's just part of the business that he kind of has to deal with. I could just see him losing his temper pretty quickly. But I still like him, so check out Jason. Now, I thought I'd mention SnakeDiscovery. If you know anything about leopard geckos, Sasobek is amazing. He basically made videos of just him doing his cleaning, right? Just a normal guy with 600 geckos in his basement. And he took breeding to the next level with leopard geckos. Just the way that he documents everything, the way that he keeps track of everything, it's amazing to see. If you can do that, that's great. I'm not that type of person. Like, I take pictures of litters and people say, oh, when was my snake born? Go find the picture. Like, when did it eat last? When did it poop last? When did it shed last? I don't keep track of those things. I don't keep records. What I do keep track of is just food. I make sure that they're eating properly, and if they're not eating properly, they get moved to a different area where I can kind of control that. But this guy, man, he just does all the work. That he goes above and beyond. He has everything marked, everything, all his breedings, the way that he tests to see if they are carrying certain genes. It's interesting because in the snake world, if a snake is carrying more genes, it's almost like a bonus. It's like, oh, it has this and that, it's hit for this, it's hit for that. As many hits as are in there, that's great. The more hits, the better. When it comes to geckos, for some reason, people like to have pure, and they don't want those other hets in there. For whatever reason, they view it kind of like dirty, like it makes it more of a mutt, and we want them to be more kind of like purebreds. And the real like intense like gecko breeders are kind of like that. Whereas once again, like for me, I just want cute geckos. I want to make pretty geckos, and it's as simple as that. But this guy took the gecko game to like the next level. And you look at TikisGeckos, and they've done the same thing for crested geckos. Like, just some guys that just raise a whole pile of geckos, share it with everyone, and teach people And it's amazing now to see kind of more and more of this, to be able to learn from each other, to be able to share with each other. And we can learn from the good things, we can learn from the bad things. And that's why there's a place for all this.
And I'm going to show you one of the craziest boa morphs you've ever seen. Stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss this. This is one of the holy grails. This is a super labyrinth. Everyone's getting very frisky today. This is a super labyrinth, what I believe to be a hypo super labyrinth. So one copy of the gene. You can see once again the patterning, the hypo reducing this pattern here. This is what we call a blue-eyed leucistic. Okay, so it's a white snake with blue eyes and a nasty temper right now because this is the 6th time we've had it out. You can see it's.
I just wanted to show you that snake. That's also a snake from that other guy, Jeff Rohn, and it's a super form of a labyrinth. It's called a crystal. It's a kind of dream snake. And MuscleSerpentsUniversity, what's interesting about him, what I've always liked about him, is he goes around interviewing people. So he's involved a lot of other people in his videos and just sharing with us more people and more collections, and having access to be able to see all these different morphs and genes that other people are working with. He went out there and like, hey, can I share your stuff? And he shared so many things with people way before its time, or way before the public kind of gets to it. You get to see some of these things right from the beginning when they're first showing up. So look at this, 4 years ago, an IMG Sunglow boa. So it's like, I'm just producing these now.
Adult IMG Sunglows, and I can tell you that they're impressive.
Tom Burke died recently, and he was working with these amazing animals that, other than this video, I never really seen. So it's just like, this was the first time I got to see IMG Sunglows. It's in 2016. That was 4 years ago. He went and he filmed all this and showed it all over the world. We can see these morphs and learn about them, and that's something I really appreciate about him. I wanted to share these channels with you, share some thoughts, and get you to kind of think about things a little bit differently. What got me on all of this was I posted a video of me getting bit, and I got a lot of backlash from it. And as I think about it, it didn't really make sense. Like what people are saying, oh, you're going to make things bad for the community by showing a bite. These bites are already there. They're already there, so it's not anything new. It's just it happening to me, and if that's an opportunity to have my channel grow more, why wouldn't I share that? Especially, it's also an opportunity to teach people, to let them know what I shouldn't have done, why it happened, why you shouldn't maybe let a retic hang out around your face. And it wasn't during like feeding mode or whatever. It just happened. And then people saying, oh, that would never happen. All sorts of negativity, all sorts of bad things. And when you think about it, let's look at this survey. Are we going to lose the right to keep reptiles as pets because YouTubers showing themselves getting bit? 4%, which I thought, I agree with this. People dumping their animals in the wild when they shouldn't. 70%, that's the largest one. And this is why we're going to lose our reptiles, or why we're going to have problems. It's not going to be because they're dangerous. It's going to be because they're invasive, because people are taking 20-foot snakes and then they get too big and they're tossing them out into the wild. Here in Canada, that's not a problem because winter will come and they'll die. But in Florida and stuff, all these snakes going nuts. I don't think most people should be keeping snakes that are that big. Do I think that it shouldn't be allowed? Absolutely not. It should be allowed. But it shouldn't be... I don't think that we should be selling reticulated pythons and Burmese pythons to people unless they're capable of really taking care of it, unless they're able to give it really what it needs and be safe and do things properly. Not doing things properly is what's causing the big problems. You see, reptiles are dangerous and shouldn't be kept as pets, 2%. And then the other big one, we can't stand together because we're busy trying to one-up each other. So that's another thing. Why do we have to be against each other? Why do I have to have a negative idea of you or a negative opinion of you? Why do I have to fight with you? Why do you have to come and attack me? Why do you have to come and attack these other people? What do you get out of that? It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you. It makes me feel bad. It makes you feel bad. We're going around making each other feel bad. And instead, we should be helping each other. We should be, it should really be about the animals. And it's just like, oh my goodness, yeah, the other day I got bit. I did this stupid thing and, oh, look at it. Oh, cool. Like, whatever. It really isn't that big of a deal. You know what is a big deal? Us all treating each other badly. And I tried to ignore most of it. I have triggers, and one of them is like people saying negative things about my daughter, or not even negative things, but just lies. And I have to work hard at not fighting back and just ignoring it, not letting it matter. In the end, I ended up taking down the video because a friend told me I should, but I regret it. I think that anyone should understand that if there's an opportunity for you to grow or for someone to benefit, like, just be happy for them. Don't put them down. Don't put your negativity on them, and just let them be. If you don't like something, don't look at it. If you don't want to see the things that are being posted, you can just look away. But the problems that I've seen, they haven't been from PETA. They haven't been from animal rights activists. You know where all the problems have come from? It's come from the reptile community. It's come from people in our own area. And that's what needs to stop. We need to stop biting each other and attacking each other. We need to work together. Because isn't it so much nicer of a world where I can say, hey, you want a boa? Go see Jason. He's in the States. He says, hey man, you want a boa? Go see Matthew. He's the guy in Canada to see. And it's just, oh, you're here. You should go to this guy. You should go to that guy. We should all be recommending ourselves to each other. We should all be helping each other's businesses, because then we'll all grow faster. We're also in one of the only communities where we are selling to our competition. Think about that. We're selling animals to people that can breed them, and then they become our competition. So I've never been that eager to push my snakes and push sales. I've always been more about trying to teach people, trying to fascinate people, getting people into snakes so that I'm selling to people that are new, that are fresh, that get to have that experience, because that's the experience I had. I was afraid of snakes, and now I love them and I breed them. By giving that, by educating people, by sharing that passion, that's how this community grows. And that's how your clientele will grow too. Personally, I don't really want to sell to breeders. I do sell to breeders sometimes, but I'd much rather sell my snakes to people that are going to raise them and think of them kind of like a cat or a dog. So if you're a reptile keeper, forget about competing, forget about arguing, forget about, all this stuff, and focus on what you're going to do to make yourself grow. Focus on how you're going to get more customers. Don't think of yourself as a small town breeder. Think of yourself as a breeder for the country. If you can't sell your animals, then you probably shouldn't really be breeding them in the first place. If you're going to start breeding, start small. And if you are able to get all those animals into good homes, that's when you expand. I see so many people kind of move too fast too quickly, and then they're done. They disappear, they get out of it, or they give up. So you're going to do much better if you kind of grow slowly and take it slow. And if all you want to do is sell animals, then keep it simple, you know. Get all the blue-eyed Lucies you can, all the white snakes, all the black snakes, and do that, because that works. But that's another video topic. So thank you for joining me on this journey and hearing what I had to think about all these wonderful YouTubers. There's a lot more good things to come. I'm going through a whole overhaul of my channel, so it's going to be just reptiles here. Do you have a channel that's your favorite, that like helped you learn a pile of things, got you through whatever you're learning? I'd love to find some new hidden gems to watch, so feel free to let me know about them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this.